Hi guys, my name is Daryl, and today I'd like to show you the exercises that are in volume 7 of Vince Gironda's Master Series. Now if you're following along in my book Invincible, this is on page 296. Now if you don't have a copy and would like to get more information, you can go check out my website at www.darylconnor.com, or you can go on amazon.com and you can purchase the book there. So here are the exercises for volume 7 of Vince Gironda's Master Series. Hi guys, now I want to show you the Gironda Dip, and I've shown this before in the earlier volumes, and I have demonstrated on the actual dip stand that was in Vince's gym. But today I want to show you another variation of the dip on Larry Scott's dip stand. Now this is just a different type of dip stand. Larry Scott had it so it's a square configuration as opposed to being rounded out, and Larry would do his dips like this, where he would turn his hands in and then he would come off. Same idea with the feet underneath the chin, and then you tuck your chin to your chest, so you'd be in this position here, and then you would come up like this and down. So that's Larry Scott's style of doing the dip. He believed by rotating the hands in that it flares the elbows out, it puts more stress on the pectorals. So that position works really well. It's not for everybody. You have to have very strong shoulders, and your connective tissue has to be well developed so that you don't hurt yourself. If you've never done a dip like that, in that style, there's a good chance you could hurt yourself. So it's one of those things, like any exercise that I show or that Vince taught us, was, if it doesn't work, don't do it. So that's the Larry Scott style. So this is the Vince Gironda dip, doing it Vince's style on the Larry Scott stand. And it works really well because it's 33 inches apart, and that's the ideal position that you want to be in. And if you're doing a dip, it's best to have sort of an angle on this bar, because you can see it. It's wider out here and it's smaller at the backside, and that's what you want. It works better with that type of an angle as opposed to just the parallel bars. Sometimes the parallel bars are too close, and that can mess up your shoulders. So what you do here is going to get up, position. So you're going to do the same thing that we've been doing. We're going to put the feet down. You're going to be just in a crescent position with the chin on the chest. And then we're going to go down and you stretch. Do 2 bumps, 1, 2, and then pull up. 2 bumps, 1, 2. Bounce, 1, 2. Bounce, 1, 2. And so the key points here is when you go down, you just do 2 small little bounces, then you push up. And now when you go all the way up, you're not going all the way up to lock the elbows. You're going about 3/4 of the movement. You're going to go up and hold it just a split second or 2, and then you come back down. You want to get that stretch. And the elbows will go back. They spread out. If you go too parallel, your hands are in here, you're actually working more tricep. So this keeps the elbows out, flared out, so it hits the pectorals, and it really stretches them out so that you get the outer sweep, and it comes all the way down to the bottom of the pectoral. So if you ever look at pictures of Vince, you'll see that he has this incredible shape to his pecs, and it looks like his pecs go all the way from his bicep all the way down to his sternum, which is the connection of the pectorals. And his is really pronounced because he developed that sweep, that line that goes from the lateral aspect all the way down to the bottom and to the sternum. So it really creates that illusion of having a really big chest, but also stays within the confines of the symmetry of that V taper. And Vince's Gironda Dip is what helped create that. And so that is the Gironda Dip on Larry Scott's dip stand. So now guys, I'm going to show you the long pulley row. Now I've shown this exercise in previous volumes, and the difference between this one and that version is that in the earlier versions I was using Vince's special handle that he would use for the low pulley row as well as the high pulley row. But he also would recommend in his literature and programs using a straight bar and also using the rings to do this exercise. And so I'll demonstrate both of those with the straight bar and then the rings today. And these rings are actually, these are my special rings. I developed these. I used to have, and I do have the round gymnastics rings, but I found that I changed the configuration of the ring, and I actually made these myself. And these are actually contoured perfectly for the hand, so they're different design, but they work really, really well. And so your hand is contoured to the handle, and it really makes it a lot more effective. Using the round ring, your hand kind of gets crushed in there, and so it's just harder on your hands. But I found that using this type of a ring is much better. And it's a design that I came up with, and it works really well. So I'll demonstrate this exercise using these rings as well as the straight bar. So you want to set your cable up to 5 to 6 feet high. It's the same position, same height as the tricep rope pullover. And then you want to have some type of a support that I use the aerobic steps because it's exactly 8 feet. You can use anything, you can build it with a 2x4 or some type of support that you can be far enough away so you can support your feet so you don't go flying forward. So I like to use the steps because they're easy and it just gives me the right distance. So what you want to do is you want to position yourself so your feet are against the platform here, and you're going to keep your knees slightly bent. And then we're going to reach out, keep the elbows bent. You're going to keep your head down, and then as you begin to pull, so we're going to pull in, and then we're going to lift the chest right up, and you're going to look up to the ceiling and contract as hard as you can here, and then you inhale, you go back, bringing your head down, and you exhale as you pull, and then you're going to pull right up and into that extension and contract, and then come back down, inhale, exhale. So I'm pulling in as I begin to pull. I'm not lifting my head up yet, but I'm going to pull in here, and then as soon as I get about halfway, I'm going to exhale and then lift the head up and then pull right through. So you're going to come in right here, exhale, begin to pull in, and then you begin to raise up. You look up and you contract. You bring the bar just underneath the pectoral line. Inhale, exhale, and then come in and contract and look up. And you want to get back, sit back far enough, bring the chest up, exhale, and contract, and then come back in. So that's one variation. The other variation that Vince would always talk about too would be you'd come in here and you'd pull in, you lift the head up, look up, contract, and then you push the handle down, and then you sweep out underneath you and then go back. Chest is up, contract, sweep, and then back in position, exhale, come up, contract, and then dip. And then back in here, exhale, then come up, contract, and dip. Then come back in, lift up, and back in, scoop, pull, Exhale, head up, chest back, up, shoulders back. Inhale. Gonna pull in. Exhale, head goes up, shoulders back, chest up, contract, scoop. So that's the long pull with the straight bar. Now I'm going to show you the long pull if you're using rings. So now, just using the rings, but these are my special rings. These work really well. And so it's the same idea. You're going to come out here, and you're going to pull, head down, between the arms are slightly bent. You're going to pull back, contract, and then go right back straight out. And exhale. And contract. Inhale. Pull. Exhale. Inhale. Elbows back. Pull. Chest up. Shoulders back. Look up. And then inhale. Exhale. Lift. Head up. Shoulders back. Contract. Inhale. Exhale. And pull. Now with the rings, it's hard to do the scoop. So just use that if you're using the straight bar. So this one with the rings, you're just going back to the starting position. So we're going to exhale, chest up, shoulders back, and then inhale as you go back forward. Exhale. And back. So here you have it, guys. Those are the two variations on the long pulley row. Again, it's preferred with the straight bar, but if you do have the rings, it's just another variation that you can use, incorporate that into your program. But the best part, I like to do the straight bar as you're coming in, then scoop the bar. You can really feel the lats kind of stretch and get that pull as you're going back into that starting position. And guys, that is the long pulley row. Okay, now guys, I want to show you the standing lateral raise. In the earlier volumes, I've demonstrated the seated lateral raise. That's when you're sitting, when your dumbbells underneath your legs, and then you'd raise up as you bring the dumbbells out to the side. So in the standing lateral raise, you want your knees slightly bent, you want your heels together, toes flared. You're going to put the thumbs on the same side of the fingers, and we're going to put the dumbbells to the front of the thighs, and then we're going to raise them up laterally. Exhale, and then come back down. So we're going to keep the dumbbells out in front of us just a little bit, and then you're going to exhale. You're going to lift your top. You're going to lift your pinky higher than your thumb as you go up. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And come back in. Now, the key here is that you don't want to just stand here and just throw them up to the side like this. So we're a little bit rounded out. So you're here and you're just a little bit rounded out so that the shoulders are just a little bit forward. And as you raise up, it's going to really hit the lateral head of the deltoids. It's a great exercise. Takes a little practice to get used to, so to use light weight to begin with, and then as you get the movement down, you can increase. But the key is, as you're going up, you want to turn the pinky higher than the thumb. And you're going to keep the dumbbells off the body. You're going to keep the dumbbells slightly in front of you. So it's here, and right up. Inhale. Exhale. And you want to keep your knees bent. Keep your heels together, toes apart. That's going to give you a good base. It's going to protect your back as well, because you're going to have a supportive base when you do it that way. When you go straight leg and you start throwing the weights out, that's no good. Knees slightly bent. You're going to keep your pelvis stabilized. You're going to raise up, then back down. Inhale, exhale. So it's a great exercise, guys. That is the standing lateral raise. Now, guys, I want to show you the kneeling tricep extension. Now, this is a exercise that I've demonstrated in the past using the actual tricep pedestal bench that was at Vince's gym. But I figured that a lot of people don't have that bench. Actually, I think I'm the only one in the world that has it. But I want to show you how you can configure a way that you can do this in your own gym or home. And what I use are aerobic steps. These work really well because they're the right height for your torso and your elbows when you're kneeling, and then you can support yourself with a couple of steps in the back here so you can get the right distance away from the pulley. And so it's about 8 feet away, and the pulley is set up, you want it to be about 6 feet high, and you want to use a long rope. So, or you can use a rope and then you can wrap it around your hands like Vince used to do. I found that really hurts my hands. I mean, it's like, because you're pulling a lot of weight. And so I found that going with a little bit bigger diameter of the rope with the huge knots at the end really allows you to get the leverage that you need, and you don't have to wrap the rope around your hands. So to get in position, you want to grab the rope, and then you just get into a kneeling position here with the elbows on the pads. Then you support your feet with the steps here, and then you're going to get down so that your head is down as low as you can go, so your elbows are up high, and then you're going to bring the hands back behind the neck, and then you extend the arms. Then you inhale, and you exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, get the full stretch here. It's an amazing stretch. And then you exhale and contract in full extension. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale, inhale, and exhale. Then inhale and exhale. And so it's really good because it really isolates the tricep. You get a tremendous stretch going back behind your head, and then you exhale and you can really hit the long head. So it really hits the lateral head of the tricep. It's a phenomenal exercise. So what I like to do, I have these AirX pads that you can use to put on the steps to give just a little bit more comfort on the elbows. And this configuration works really well. This type of configuration is very similar to Larry Scott's pedestal bench. And he had his design the same way in terms of having a space so you can put your head down into the bench with the elbows on the pads, whereas Vince's it's all connected, and he just had an angle of the bench, so you just rest your head onto the pad. I kind of like the ability to put my head down below the bench, because you can really get a deep stretch when you do that. So as you're pulling, you can put your head down and really isolate the triceps even more. It's really a great configuration. And again, this is a very simple thing you can do. If you can get some aerobic steps, I would highly recommend that, because they're very versatile. And you can set this configuration up perfectly. And you can also use the steps so when you're doing your high pulley rows and whatnot, so that you can get back 8 feet with the pulley up 6 feet. So that works the best. And so these aerobic steps really work well. And again, this configuration is phenomenal. And you don't need a ton of weight on this exercise. I mean, just doing the little weight that I was using, I mean, you can really feel the triceps burn, because you're totally isolating. You're not using any other muscle group, and you're really getting that stretch and then that contraction. So guys, this is a great exercise, and that is the kneeling tricep extension. Okay, now guys, I want to show you the perfect curl. Now this is a great exercise for developing the entire spectrum of the bicep, and it keeps the anterior deltoid out of the equation. So when you do this exercise, it really emphasizes all the tension on the bicep. And again, it's another great exercise developed by Vince. So what you want to do is you want to use a straight bar. I prefer the 4-foot bar, just easier to work with. Now what you want to do to start you want your thumbs on the same side as the fingers. This way it keeps the forearms out of the, and allows you to just focus on the deep contraction of the bicep. Now what you're going to do, you're going to start with your heels together, toes flared apart, knees slightly bent, and we're going to lean back. So we're going to start in this sort of stretch position here, and then you're going to begin to curl the bar up. As you curl, we're going to lean forward into the bar. So it looks like this. Exhale. Contract, bring the bar underneath your chin, then inhale and return. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. So the key points are, you're going to lean back to stretch the bicep, and then as you curl, as you begin to curl, you're going to go into the forward position, bring the bar underneath the chin, and then inhale, come back, and then exhale. So the elbows never move, they stay in that position the entire time. So you're not doing this with the arms so that the deltoids are taking the work. You're bypassing the deltoids by leaning into it and keeping the tension on the biceps at all times. So you inhale, then you exhale, you contract, inhale, and exhale. So again, the arm never moves, it's just your body moves. You can see that the bicep is under contraction the entire time as you do this motion. And that is how you do it. That is the perfect curl. Okay, now guys, I want to show you the thigh squat. That's what this exercise is named in volume 7, but it's actually called the burlesque bump. And I've demonstrated the sissy squat in past volumes, and that's when you do all 3 phases: the knee drop, the burlesque bump, and then the flushing. But in volume 7, Vince only wanted us to do the burlesque bump phase of the sissy squat. So this is what it is. It's called the thigh squat, aka the burlesque bump. So what you're going to do is going to just stand on a 2x4, 14 inches apart with the feet. You want to put your heels on the 2x4 with your toes onto the floor. And then you're going to get a straight bar, and then we're going to put it on the front deltoids like this. And what you want to do is when you come down, you're going to get into that low squat position. And then as we come up, you're going to thrust your hips forward so that your hips are now in front of your shoulders. And you come back down, and you thrust your hips forward, and you come back down. As you come up, you thrust your hips forward so that your hips are in front of your body, your glutes are kind of tucked in, and then the bar is resting on your deltoids, and your shoulders are back so that you're in a good balanced position. And then when you go back down, you reload, come back, thrust the hips forward, and then you're never straightening your legs. So your knees are slightly bent. So when you come up into that position, hips are here, shoulders are back, and then you drop back down, and then you come back up, and you thrust your hips forward. It takes a little bit of practice to get used to, but once you get it, man, it is an absolute quad burner. So I'd always start with a light weight, just to maybe the first set. I wouldn't even count it as a set, just to kind of warm the joints up, kind of get the movement down. Then you can add more weight to it. With this particular exercise, you're not going to be cranking out 300, 400 pounds. There's no way. So you're going to use good form and then really try to get those hips in front, and then that's the key to it. So you're generating the fast twitch fibers to help drive the hips forward, and then it really activates the quadriceps in a whole different way rather than just squats. So like the basic squat, you know, Vince never really did those. He would always use this type of a squat. So, you know, in his gym, they had like squat racks, like a freestanding squat rack. It looked like this, just 2 columns. And I remember one guy was commenting and saying, hey, I thought Vince didn't do any squats. You know, but he wasn't doing Olympic back squats. He was doing squats like this. He was doing the burlesque bump. He was doing the sissy squat, doing front squats. Everything was on a 2x4. So it's a lot different engagement of the muscle fibers on the quadriceps, because everything's more on the front side and we're not activating the glutes as much. So when you do the burlesque bump, the whole idea is that you're going down and then you're thrusting your hips forward, and it takes the glutes out of the equation. So that's the whole idea of this exercise. And that's what Vince would teach. And so it was all about, you know, creating the illusion of big legs with small hips and small glutes. You know, so that's the whole idea. So if you ever see a picture with the freestanding squat rack in Vince's gym, don't go crazy in thinking that Vince was teaching Olympic squatting, because he wasn't. He was just teaching these types of exercises, again, front squat, the sissy squat, burlesque bump. There you have it, guys. That is the thigh squat that is in volume 7, otherwise known as the burlesque bump. All right, guys, now I want to demonstrate the standing toe raise. Now, this one can be done on they actually have calf machines where they have the pads and you kind of stand on. They have it's its own machine, and you can do that. I don't have one of those machines. I like to use the Smith machine for this exercise. So it's real simple. You have a block of wood here, and you want the block to be just a little bit behind the bar itself. And so you want to keep it jacked just a little bit further back, just so you can get a good stretch of the calves. Then you get underneath the bar. Now, typically, just a key point, typically I would always do this barefoot, but just for the demonstration, I have very soft shoes, so you can use like really soft shoes like this that don't have much of a sole. If you have a shoe like a tennis shoe or a hard shoe like a cross trainer, it'll limit the range of motion, and you don't want to use those types of shoes. So I always recommend doing calf work in bare feet. But just for the demonstration, I don't feel like taking my shoes off right now, so we'll just say, just pretend my feet are bare. But anyways, I'm using very soft shoes, so I'll still be able to get the range that I'm looking for, but I do prefer doing this with my shoes off. But anyway, that's a little side note. So you want to go onto the block, and what you're going to do here is you're going to drop down into the stretch, but you're going to go onto the ball. You're going to go up as high as you can on the big toes. So you're going to actually turn. You're bringing your heels in. So as you're coming up, you're going to almost like you're trying to touch your heels together, and then you're going to go down. You separate the feet, go all the way down to a full stretch as far as you can go, and then you're going to exhale, and you come up onto the big toes. You're going to turn in, and you're trying to touch your heels together, and then you go back down. You inhale, stretch, and then come up. You're going to go from the small toe, and then you work all the way up, put pressure on all the other toes until you get to the big toe, and then you bring your heels together. So you go down the opposite direction with the toes. So you're going from your big toe to the small toe, and then you go from the small toe all the way to the big toe, and then you turn in. You come down, keep the legs straight, and then you come up, exhale, and then really crank on those big toes, and then come back down nice and soft. And so the key points here are, when you're coming up, is that you want to put all your pressure, so you're going from your small toes, and you're putting all the pressure all the way into the big toe. So you're going up, and then you're going to come back down the opposite fashion. you're putting all the pressure down onto your small toe, and then your heels stretch, and then you come back up. And so that's how you really develop those diamond calves. And it's also way more effective that way for developing the gastrocnemius, rather than just trying to go up and down like a lot of guys will do. They'll just get up here, and they just kind of bounce through the exercise, and that doesn't really do anything. You have to kind of get that engagement, so as you come up, you're pulling in up onto the big toe. So you have to get that bone support in order to really make those calves work. And so that's a great exercise. Guys, that is a standing toe raise. Okay, now guys, I want to show you the frog sit-up. What you want to do here, you want to cross your legs and keep your knees flared. And this will help anchor the pelvis to the floor. And also it eliminates the control of the hip flexors, so it turns them right off. And you want to keep your back pressed against the floor. And what you want to do is you want to put your hands onto your abdominals so you can actually feel the contraction as you come up. Now the key here is to activate by blowing out all the air through pursed lips. And so it looks like this. Inhale. But first, when you want to inhale, you want to concave the abdominals. You want to pull them in like you're doing a vacuum. And then you want to exhale. Blow all the air out. Inhale. Pull the abdominals in. So you're, again, the vacuum here. Then you're going to exhale. Get all the air out. And then inhale. Very important to get that vacuum. And you're pulling in and up. So you're flattening, you're scooping your abdominals. And then you inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. So you're blowing out through pursed lips. I mean, like you're almost like you're blowing up a balloon. And then keeping your hands on your abdominals so you can feel the contraction. So what I like to do is kind of spread my fingers out here. So I'm going to do the vacuum here. Kind of spread out, and then as I exhale and contract, you can feel the fingertips get closer in. You can pull in, and so you know you're getting the full abdominal contraction. Inhale. And exhale. And so it just reinforces you to get the two poles of the abdominals as close as possible. So you're getting the insertion and the origin, and you're trying to pull them in as close as possible. And when you do it, when you put your hands on your abdominals, it's like an instant feedback. So you can kind of get that feel, and you can feel the abdominals pulling close, especially you're trying to get the lowest part of the abdominals in, tucked in as you exhale. So you're getting all that little bit of air that's just left in that diaphragm. You want to get it all out, and you want to really blow it out. Some people will hold their breath when they get to this point and doesn't do anything. So you have to really pull in the abdominals by blowing out that last little bit of air. So you inhale and you exhale. Then you want to inhale as you come back. So the key points here are keeping your legs crossed, keeping your knees down, so you don't want to use your legs as you come up. Keep them down and relaxed. And then hands on your abdominals. Keep your chin up to start, then you exhale. And you contract and blow all the air out. That's the secret to developing really good abdominals, because you want to get that diaphragm to really work, and it's going to really work on that ratcheting effect of the cross bridges to cross over and to get as tight as possible, creating a stronger contraction. And that's it. And guys, that is the frog sit-up. So there you have it, guys. Those are the exercises in Volume 7. If you have any questions or want to learn more about my books and programs, you can check out my website at www.darylcano.com. I want to thank you very much for watching. Take care. See you next time.